What's going on, everybody? It's the Bulls Show, aka Aiden, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, apparently some people believe that being the GM of the Chicago Bulls could potentially be one of the worst GM spots across the NBA in the league. And they have some reasons behind that, which I want to discuss in this video. Of course, it's another article to be reacted to as well, so let's discuss it. Before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls and whether or not you believe the GM spot for this Bulls team is one of the, I guess, less desirable jobs in the NBA to have and stuff of that nature. Now, it's actually a very interesting video, I would say, considering that, obviously, we recently did just get a new GM. Of course, it's been 3 seasons now, but, you know, we've had Garpax for ages. Now, all of a sudden, you've got AK and Eversley, you've got the new regime, and, you know, it's gone a little bit of an upwards and downward spiral, I would say, with this current new regime and the front office, and that ultimately does lead to people saying that this is probably the worst GM spot in the NBA to actually have. So, that obviously goes to Arturas Karnisovas and Marc Eversley. Apparently, those two have the worst NBA jobs, I guess, in their respective positions in the NBA with the Chicago Bulls team. So let's discuss that real quick, because as much as I can understand what this article is saying, I completely disagree with some of the reasonings behind why we have the, I guess, worst. No, it's not even the worst GM. It's the fact that it's the most difficult job as a general manager in the NBA, I guess you could say. So they basically said we're kind of stuck with the roster. They mentioned Patrick Williams not living up to his potential. They mentioned Zach LaVine's max contract. They mentioned Nikola Vucevic's extension. They mentioned DeMar DeRozan's age. Those are the reasons why this, I guess, analyst or this executive, whatever it is, believes that the hardest job in the NBA is to be the Bulls general manager and stuff of that nature. And look, I agree that it's a hard job. Of course it is. Again, there's only a reason why a select few people get those positions, and it's not easy. And at the end of the day, to run an entire organization basically with hands behind your back, sometimes it is difficult. No one can, not everybody is built for that job. You know, as Bulls fans, we can think that we're, you know, doing a whole My League on 2K or something like that, and we're the best GM of all time, but we're just, you know, we're fans, and maybe we could do a better job, maybe we can't, but, you know, we'll never truly know. But, you know, some of the things that they've said, honestly, the Bulls put themselves in this situation. Let's be honest, when Arturas Karnisovas and Marc Eversley came into this job, came into this position, we had a team consisted of Coby White, Zach LaVine, Larry Markkinen, Wendell Carter Jr., Otto Porter Jr. That was our team when those guys got into the job, I believe. So mentioning Vucevic, mentioning DeMar, mentioning the max contract Zach LaVine has, and mentioning Patrick Williams is all the responsibility of the current regime. If it's such a hard job, they're the reason why it's a hard job. Let me give you an example here. They talked about Vucevic getting an extension. The easy answer is, if they feel like I guess it's a hard thing that Vucevic's extension makes the general manager's position difficult, then don't extend him. Simple as that. You know, it's not necessarily rocket science over here. If you don't want to extend Vucevic, or if you think Vucevic is a reason why the general managers are having a hard time, and most importantly, if the general manager himself feels like signing Vucevic would bring him a hard time, then don't sign him. Zach LaVine's max contract. Who gave him that max contract? It was this front office, ladies and gentlemen. They did that to themselves. That's their own problem, and if they want to find a way out of it, personally, I don't have a problem with Zach LaVine on a max contract. But if that was a reason in the article, well, that's their own doing, and they got to find a way to build themselves out of it. DeMar DeRozan's age, still a guy that you can trade. Don't tell me there are no trade options out there for DeMar DeRozan. If you feel like DeMar DeRozan's age is, I guess, a reason why the general manager's job is so difficult, then you can trade him and go younger. You know, we can do these things. It's not that difficult. We're not that stuck if we don't want to be that stuck. The problem is, this Bulls front office believes that we can still compete with the current team, so they're not willing to break up the core, because I think the core can easily be broken if they wanted to do it. That is really as simple as it gets. But that's not the reason why I think the Bulls front office has a hard job, has a difficult job, or it's one of the least desirable jobs in the NBA. Far from it. We did those things to ourselves. Those are the decisions that our general manager made. So if they're making things difficult on themselves, that's on them. But a couple of reasons why, if, for example, a new general manager was to come into this team tomorrow, why it would be difficult. A, The first and foremost, the Lonzo Ball situation. That is obviously a very difficult situation to go through. And again, there are not many teams, general managers, that have to make decisions like that, the way the Bulls are going to have to make decisions about Lonzo Ball. That's a difficult predicament to be in. That's what makes one of our key areas so difficult in terms of being a general manager. What decision can you possibly make that will A, satisfy the entire fan base, B, you know, could potentially save an NBA player's career if you give him that chance, or it could potentially end his career if you're the last chance that he gets. That's such a difficult choice to make. So I completely understand from that perspective why it's one of the least desirable and one of the hardest jobs in the NBA to fill. But two, we know for a fact that this front office does not go into the luxury tax. Now, I will say this, there are a lot of NBA teams that don't go into the luxury tax. There are a lot of NBA teams that are not willing to do that. There are a lot of NBA teams out there with owners desire to suck the money from those teams and not really give anything back. We're not in that predicament, I don't think. You know, we suck in terms of we don't go into the luxury tax, but many teams don't. We're not willing to, even though we possibly can. That's a problem for us. This front office will always have hands tied behind their backs if the front office and the ownership, my apologies, is not willing to go into the luxury tax. Now, we've heard quotes in the past saying when this Bulls team finds that contending team they believe that can go all the way, they'll go into the luxury tax. I'm waiting to see that happen. I'm not going to throw any punches. I'm not going to say anything else. I'm hoping for when that day comes, whenever it may be, if you find that contending team and you believe that team can go all the way and you need to make signings that will take you to the luxury tax, if the Bulls pull the trigger, fair enough. I have no problems with that. That's what we want at the end of the day. There's no point going into the luxury tax this season. We're not contending. It's going to be a waste of time. But once we get to that contending stage, I'm hoping the Chicago Bulls go into that luxury tax. But until then, they will always have hands tied behind their back in terms of competing at the NBA level. Those are the two reasons why I feel like the GM spot for the Bulls is a difficult one. Not because we signed Zach LaVine on a max extension. We didn't need to do that. That's a decision we made. Not because of Nikola Vucevic's extension. If we extend Vucevic, that's a decision the Bulls made. That doesn't make their job hard. That's the decision that they made themselves, and they will live with the results, whether it's the right one or the wrong one. Trading or not trading DeMar DeRozan because of his age, that's a decision the Bulls made by themselves. That does not make their jobs hard. That is a decision that they have to make. You know, saying that we're stuck is not true. We are not stuck. We put ourselves in this situation, first and foremost, and we can easily take ourselves out of that situation. But in order to do that, you have to be willing to do that. So that's, I guess, my entire video, I guess you could say. If we're not willing to do it, I can't sit here and say the Bulls front office, the Bulls, I guess, have the least desirable job in the NBA because of all the situations that we're currently in, that the Bulls front office themselves put themselves in. So we'll wait and see what ends up happening. Again, if this team stays the same, I hope we go and get more pieces that can compete with this team. If we go for a roster shakeup, depending on which direction it is, I hope we get what we need out of that situation. But we're not stuck. We're not. And yes, the moves may be unpredictable in terms of what are we actually going to do, but we are not stuck. I don't believe that for a second that we're stuck. So we'll wait and see what ends up happening. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you in the next Chicago Bulls video. Do you feel like we're stuck? Do you feel like the GM position for the Chicago Bulls is the least desirable in the NBA? It's the hardest job in the NBA? You know, I think it's hard, but not for the reasons that they're suggesting. Again, these are easily preventable decisions we could have made if we wanted to do it. It's the wrong choices. That doesn't make it hard. It just means that we're making the wrong choices. If that's how the front office themselves feel, not some random person from an article. If that's how the front office feels about their decisions, then they're making the wrong ones, and they can prevent that. It's up to them. Not up to anybody else. We are not stuck. We're not in a position we can't get out of, but the Bulls have to want to get out of it. That is everything I need to say in this video. Have a wonderful and safe day. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care, and peace.